Naturalized throughout Europe and now widespread across North America, quickly spreading to roadsides, trails, parks, and open fields, this invasive plant has become fairly common and hard to miss no matter where you live.
While it's appreciated overseas, in America, it's mostly regarded as a noxious weed.
Which is unfortunate because if more people looked into this plant, they quickly learn to appreciate it. The larger leaves taste just fine raw in the field, in case you need an energy boost on a hike or in a survival situation. When looking for garlic mustard, consider that it's a biennial, meaning it has a 2-year life cycle. You can harvest it during its first year or second year, though you'll be able to harvest more the older the plant is due to it having more foliage. During its first year, it stays pretty compact and low to the ground, maybe reaching only a foot or so by summertime. Because of this, it can easily go unnoticed in its first season until it can outcompete the surrounding grass and plants the following year. It loves partially shaded areas, especially along roadsides, creeks, and property lines. Areas where something's been cleared recently, yet nothing's been established in its place, are where you'll often find these weeds such as thistles, black nightshade, and of course garlic mustard. A useful tip is that garlic mustard sprouts around the same time as dandelions, putting out its flowers around the same time as well, typically around April through mid-May in northern climates. Before the second year plants can set seed, a new set of first year young seedlings begin to emerge, so it's not uncommon to see plots of this plant in various stages of growth. Interestingly, the leaves of garlic mustard can vary slightly from site to site, both due to differing microclimates and stages of growth. Some patches showcase a deep, dark green appearance, while others sport a more light pale green look. The structure also varies the further up the plant you go, with some leaves being more rounded at the base and others more triangular at the top of the plant. However, the flowers are always in a cluster at the tip of the stems. Each flower has 4 white petals, and once the flowers are fertilized, the stems eventually stretch upwards where long pods will develop on these elongated stem tips where the little flowers used to be. Once the pods mature and turn brown, they'll snap open, ejecting the seeds around the base of the plant. The seeds must go through a freezing process before they begin to germinate, so in theory they must first experience a winter for a new plant to start from seed. Unlike the seeds of other weeds such as dandelions, which can travel miles away due to their light design, the seeds of garlic mustard are hardier in their design and typically drop within a few feet from the parent plant. This makes larger patches of the plant easy to find once you locate a single plant. In their second year, each plant sends up a flower stalk that drops thousands of seeds for future harvests. Garlic mustard is actually able to outcompete the native plants in the immediate area by using their roots to exude chemicals that kill beneficial mycorrhiza in the soil. This inhibits other plants from germinating, further increasing the dominance and spread of this invasive plant. This not only kills native plants, but also mushrooms' ability to thrive as well. Because of this, it's not a bad idea when you find a large patch where it shouldn't be to pull the plants up from the roots when harvesting them. It's also a good cue when foraging for morels in the spring to look elsewhere if you see garlic mustard in large numbers.
Garlic mustard doesn't just taste good, but it's actually one of the most nutritious leafy greens that's ever been studied.
There's practically no greens higher in fiber, beta-carotene, vitamin C, vitamin E, and zinc. In fact, it beats out spinach, broccoli leaves, collard greens, and even kale for these nutrients. The edible parts of the plant include the young stems, the leaves, the buds, the flowers, and the seeds. So practically all parts of the plant except for the roots and the tougher parts of the stem.
When harvesting garlic mustard, there's not too many rules to consider given this is an invasive plant, but there are a couple things that I've learned myself that I'll share with you now. Tip number 1, consider harvesting the second year plant as that'll save you time.
It just makes it easier to see and grab those bigger leaves, which taste just as good. Interestingly, if you wait for the plant to bud and flower out, the lower round leaves begin to lose some of their bitterness, so you may want to gather them over the triangular upper leaves. When daytime temps reach the mid to upper 50s, it's a good time to go out as there should be plenty of young foliage by then, similar to hunting for early season morels.
Tip number 2, consider where they're growing.
If you want to stop the spread, pull out the whole plant, roots and all. You also may want to return later to harvest again before the remaining plants go to seed. If you're harvesting from a small or well-managed area and want to keep them around, just taking the leaves will keep the plants alive for future harvesting. You can take a spray bottle and mist them to keep them fresh and hydrated. Again, you can also eat the stems by using scissors to cut away a few inches above the ground. Say that's a good load. Got more trash than garlic mustard. Success. Let's get out of here.
So I hope you learned something new and are now confident to tackle this invasive plant in a park near you.